When you go to buy or sell your house, you are going to have prorations involved at the closing table. And if you have no idea what prorations are or what actually gets prorated or who figures all of that out, then this is the video for you. So stick around. Hey everyone, my name is Danae Hewitt and I am your go-to DFW Realtor with Brico Realty Services. On my channel, I talk to you about all of the things real estate. And I also go around to local cities and tell you a little bit about them. And I also show you what you can get for your money here in the Metroplex. I like to hang out on Instagram a lot, so definitely give me a follow there. In this video, I'm gonna go through what the heck prorations mean. I'm gonna tell you what gets prorated, and I'm also gonna tell you who prorates all of these things. It's the process of dividing various property expenses between the buyer and seller in a way that allows each party to only pay for the days he or she owns the property. It really ensures that each party is only paying for what they're supposed to pay for the days that they actually own the home. Because it wouldn't make sense for you to be paying for something when you didn't actually own it, right? So what gets prorated? There are definitely a couple of things. And the first big thing is your taxes. So here in Texas, we pay our taxes in arrears, which means that we pay for the taxes for the previous year in the current year. So how does that get prorated? What we look at is the number of days that you are actually in the house versus when the buyer is going to be purchasing the house. So just for nice round numbers, let's say that the closing date is June 30th, which is 6 months out of the year. So the taxes for the previous year are going to be calculated for this year, assuming that the taxes are the same, and the buyer is only going to pay for 6 months of those taxes because that's how long they've owned the house in that current year, and the buyer is going to pay for the other 6 months of those taxes when that tax bill comes. So what happens is the seller is actually going to pay the buyer at the closing table that 6 months of taxes. Now, it's not like they're actually like giving them the money at the closing table. It really just means that the buyer is bringing less money to the closing table. And then when the tax bill comes around, then the buyers are going to really essentially have been paid for 6 months already from those taxes. And then the 6 months when they own the property, they will pay that tax bill in full. In this video right here, I talked to you about your escrow account as a owner of a house. So definitely go back and watch that because your total payment for your mortgage is going to include your taxes, your homeowner's insurance, the principal of the mortgage, and the interest of the mortgage. So every month in your escrow account, your taxes are going to be a portion of that so that you're not due a huge bill at the end of the year. But again, watch that video for all that information. Another thing that gets prorated are your HOA fees, and there's a couple of ways to do that. Sometimes people pay their HOA in one lump sum at the beginning of the year, or sometimes they pay it in monthly installments, quarterly installments, whatever. So let me just give you the example of how it's prorated if you pay them annually upfront, which is actually what I personally do. So let's say again, we are selling our house on June 30th to make life easier. Our HOA dues are about $575 for the year. We have already paid them. So on June 30th, the buyer is actually going to have to pay me that $575 divided by 2 at the closing table because I've already paid for the whole year up front, but I'm not living in the house for the whole year. I'm only living in it for 6 months. So the buyers will actually owe me $287.50 at the closing table. Okay, now who figures out these prorations? We are so very thankful for our title companies. They handle all the things with the prorations. And they handle all the things with The money. They're the neutral third party that is going to give title insurance to the home. They make sure that there are no liens on the properties, and if there are, that they're paid for at closing. They do all of the research to make sure that, hey, Mrs. Seller, I did pay my HOA dues already at the beginning of the year. They also look at what my taxes, what I paid for last year, and they calculate all of those numbers. They do something that's called balance the CD. The CD is the closing disclosure, and I've got a video right here explaining what that is. They balance that CD with the lender in terms of debits and credits that are given to the buyers and sellers for everything that is prorated. So when I say we're so thankful for them, we really are so thankful for them, because they are the ones that handle all the financials with buying and selling a house. All of our contracts are sent to them. It really just makes our jobs a heck of a lot easier, because they handle so much that is involved with these transactions. And sometimes you don't even realize all the things that our title companies do. So that's why it's so important that you are working with a great title company rep, which of course I am. One thing to note is that when you get that CD, definitely look at those numbers to make sure they are correct, because you have to sign off for that, because that's the amount of money that you're gonna be receiving at the closing table if you're the seller, or it's also what you owe when you're the buyer at the closing table. So double check that CD for sure. I hope this video helped you out in regards to prorations, and just kind of keep that in the back of your mind that this is going to be coming when you sign, when you're buying or selling a house. I hope you got some value out of this week's video, and I will see you next week.